you're watching Gearz, brought to you by Holly Performance Products. Fuel your passion. And Cornwell Tools, the choice of professionals.
Hey, welcome to Gearz. You know, a few weeks ago, we started a different kind of project, but one that is relevant to just about everybody that's watching. And that is, how do you stop the cycle of deterioration that starts when you quit using or neglect a vehicle and it starts to sit? Now, the reason this is important is that if you don't get a grip on this, the vehicle will eventually turn into a total piece of junk, or it will require a complete restoration. One is a shame, the other can be a little expensive. A prime example of that is our own Little Red Wagon. We stopped using this because of flat tires and a nasty interior. Obviously, we got the tires taken care of. Today, we're back on the interior. Now, when we left off, we had pulled out the old seats and the carpet. And laid in some new carpet from LMC truck. Now, I know you're probably thinking, wait a minute. I thought that carpet was gray, and it was. Now it's red. But it could be tan, it could be blue, it could be black, it could be any number of colors that LMC carries. And that's the point here. When you're redoing an interior, you don't have to stick with the original color. You can be creative. You can make it look the way you want the vehicle to look. And this doesn't just go for carpet either. You want to change the color of your dash? LMC carries dash covers and complete dash replacements to do that. And matching paint to do your door panels and trim as well. Now, since this truck is called the Little Red Wagon, it really needs some red and black accents in the interior to match the rest of the truck. So the red carpet and the black floor mats is the first step in doing that. And it already adds a much richer feel to the interior. The next stop is the headliner, and ours is obviously shot and hanging down in our face. So instead of trying to reupholster it and fix it, we just got a new replacement from LMC truck. Now, the good thing about these replacement headliners is that they're made out of ABS plastic, not that cheap cardboardy stuff like the originals. So these are going to hold their shape forever. Also, as you can see, they've got all of the holes in them for the sun visors and the dome lights and all of those accessories, so you don't have to cut those. And it comes already upholstered with a neutral upholstery. So these are literally ready to go in. Now, if you don't like this color, it would just take you a few seconds to peel that upholstery off and glue on the upholstery that you want. So that's a nice option to have. Okay, the headliner is held in place in the front by the visors, in the center by any lights or consoles, and in the rear by pins or this two-piece close hook. Now, once these are out, the headliner will come out and the new one will slide right in. Okay, with the new headliner in place, what we're working on now is the final fitment, because sometimes you need to tweak them a little bit to get them just right. Now, they usually come with extra material in the corners, so you can trim them down, get them perfect. Now, if you have to do that, you'll just have to reattach your upholstery. Now, once you have everything fitting right, and it's the color you want, you're ready to move on to your side panels. And since we know these speakers are blown, we're going to deal with those too. Now, you're probably wondering, where did you get all of that great brand new trim? Well, it's not new. It is the original pieces painted to look brand new. And the reason I did it that way is because nobody's reproducing these parts. So if yours are bad, you might be able to get replacements at the dealership, but chances are you're going to have to go to a salvage yard to find the stuff. That's why you need to be careful when you take it off. You don't want to break this stuff. Now, as far as the speakers, take a look at this. We got replacements from Kicker, but not just speakers. We also got an amp and cables and wiring and even one of their iconic little subwoofers, because now is the time to lay all this stuff out while you have the interior apart. All right, since we are laying out a new interior and adding different colors, what about seats? Remember, our old seats are not only worn out, but the gray's not going to work anymore, so we need some new stuff. And seat selection is the most important part to laying out an interior because it completely sets the tone for the whole interior. Look at what we found. TMI is one of the premier aftermarket seat companies out there with a whole line of seats to choose from. Now these seats, these are the Pro Series Universal Sport SS low back seats that we then had them add the adjustable headrest to. And as you can see, they come with pronounced side bolsters, top and bottom. They got the fully adjustable back, and they come with the sliders. So they got all the good stuff. Then we had them stitch it up with a distressed black vinyl. We put some red stripes on it, and then some red stitching. So we're gonna have a cool red element going all the way through the carpet, up through the seats. And that's what's great about TMI. They'll stitch up your seats in whatever color combination that you want. Now, to go between the seats, we've got this cool little console. Now, obviously, it's great for an armrest or your cups, but it also doubles as a buddy seat, and it gives you a place to store some stuff. So this is going to make us want to drive that red wagon even more.
In a world of economic uncertainty, there will always be a need for quality tools and people who can use them. That's why becoming a Cornwell tool dealer is one of the best career moves you can make. With routes available all across the nation, it's a great way to be your own boss, supply high-quality tools to professionals, and make some real money. If you're tired of working for someone else, have the drive to succeed, and want a career that can be successful no matter what happens on Wall Street, there's a Cornwell tool truck with your name on the side.
Hey, welcome back to Gearz, where we are continuing our interior upgrades on the Little Red Wagon to return it to its former glory. Now, as you can see, we've got it pretty well torn apart in here, but we do have new red carpet on the floor. We have new weather stripping around the doors. We replaced the headliner and added some black upholstery to that, and we finished it off with some new gray sun visors. All of this came from LMC Truck. So we've got gray, black, and red going all through this interior now. So we're going to continue that. Now, before you can put your interior panels on, you want to take care of what's behind the panels. So as you can see, we replaced the original speakers with new ones from Kicker back here and also in the doors. Now we're ready for those newly painted panels. All right, what about door panels? Well, as a reminder, this is what we started with. Pretty boring. So we decided to wake them up with some paint and detailing work. And the difference is night and day over the original panel. Okay, now we are finally ready for the main attraction, and that's these TMI seats and console that we showed you earlier. Now, the good thing about aftermarket seats, they're available in all kinds of different colors and shapes and styles. The bad thing is that they're probably not going to be a direct bolt-in replacement for your vehicle. So you're going to have to utilize your original mounting brackets or pick up a universal mounting bracket. But either way, it is up to you to make those seats fit in your vehicle. And you don't want to do that over brand new carpet. So make sure you roll the carpet out of the way when you're doing seat fabrication. Starting with the end pieces from our old bracket and the new universal bracket from TMI, we started measuring to dial in the height and the location for the new seats, as well as how they're going to bolt to the floor. You take your time here, because the goal is to have your eyes centered in the windshield and your body centered with the steering wheel. Okay, with the basic seat bracket in place, you're halfway there, because these outer brackets are not enough to support bucket seats. What'll happen is you'll bend this bracket here in the center if you put weight on it. So you need additional support. Now, the universal kit comes with some L brackets, and as you can see, we were able to modify some for the rear here that will bolt to the seatbelt stud, so that's good. But here in front, as you can see, these brackets are too small to hit the hole. So we had to make our own brackets to make it work. It's all part of just making a seat fit. Now, one other thing to remember, your seatbelt mounts. These need to mount solidly to studs in the floor or to a bracket that is bolted to the floor. Don't skimp here. These need to be strong. All right, with the bracket done, now you can lay the carpet down for the last time and bolt the bracket to the floor. Then we'll slide in the newly painted package tray and follow that with that new kicker subwoofer. Then finally, we'll bolt in the console and the seats. Then just step back and take a look. Yeah, quite a difference from what we started out with. And that's it for our interior upgrades on the Little Red Wagon. Man, it's amazing what a little bit of elbow grease, paint, and the right aftermarket parts will do. Now at this point, we got a vehicle we can start using again. But it could definitely benefit from some paint work and some motor upgrades and some suspension. You know, that other stuff. Man, it's the circle of life for a truck.
Metal. It's one of the key components of what we build and fabricate with. But if you can't shape it and cut it, you can't build with it. For over 50 years, Woodward Fab has been supplying the tools and technical advice to get the job done right. Bead rollers, brakes, shears, tubing benders. You'll find what you need whether you're a professional metal worker or just starting out. Woodward Fab, shaping metal since 1966.
There is an old saying, if you build a better mousetrap, the world will come knocking at your door. And in the car world, that is especially true, because mice and rats don't just look at your classic car or truck as a new home. No, they also look at it as a giant buffet of seats and wiring and hoses and rubber to chew on and destroy. So, what do? Well, two schools of thought that go back to the Dark Ages is to trap them or to poison them. The problem is, if you trap them, you still got to deal with the mouse. If you poison them, you've got to deal with finding the dead mouse that's stinking. But what if you didn't have to mess with the mouse at all? That would obviously be the best approach, right? Well, that's the idea behind Mouse Blocker.
I came up with the idea for Mouse Blocker in 2009. I've researched it for many, many years when I was actually an employee at a car dealership dealing with rodent problems.
But how do you keep the mice away from your garage so you don't have to deal with their destruction? Well, it turns out a low-level sound wave is the answer. This means that putting a small mouse blocker unit in your car will create enough irritation to a small skittish rodent that they will leave the car alone. Then if you add a larger unit to the garage floor, it'll keep the mice from entering the garage altogether. The only limitation is that since it uses sound waves, you obviously don't want to put it behind something that's going to block the waves, like a wall or a seat. Now, this all may sound good, but the big question is, how loud is this? Is it going to be obnoxious? Is it going to keep me out of my own garage? No, it doesn't work that way. This is not a loud thing. This is actually more of a low-frequency rumble that's almost undetectable to the human ear. But animals will hear it, and they'll avoid it.
The car becomes actually the safest place in the world. That's where the rodents are trying to hide from their predators. Yeah. So that's why they're going up in there. What we want to do is make that nice, safe, warm place violent. So we recommend putting our most violent unit inside the car. This creates the violent space there. We drive them out of the car, and then we have different speakers setups that are designed for shop or garage environments that are not as violent, but they're enough to make the shop uncomfortable. So the car is the most violent space, the shop is the next most violent space, and the world all of a sudden feels like a safe place.
This place looks pretty nice.
And for those of you that are worried about hurting the mice, well, the unit's not designed to hurt them, just deter them.
Mouse blocker went in a humane direction. It started initially because we didn't want the rodent to die in the car. People with the poisons, they were actually poisoning, owls and birds and their neighbors' cats and things like that. So it was really important to, kind of not follow the toxic poison option. And we really wanted to drive them out so that the cats and the birds and the snakes can do their job.
So, we've got a unit that's guaranteed to keep mice away, so you never have to touch them. It's quiet and compact and uses very little power. And it sends all the mice down the road to your neighbor's garage? That sounds like a better mousetrap to me. And maybe something you need to tell your neighbors about.
A successful automotive project takes planning and organization. But instead of using an old tablet or notebook, there's the Gearz Deluxe Project Planning Book. This was designed to help you lay out a project, the parts, the tools, costs, and keep it organized with colored tabs, a pouch for receipts, and even a place to attach photos. If you decide to sell the vehicle, it serves as a complete history of what's been done. If you have a project or plan on starting one, the Gearz Project Planning Book is the best way to lay it out and make it happen. Can't get enough Gearz? Make sure to check out the Tales of a Gearhead podcast, where Stacey brings a lifetime of automotive knowledge, friendships, and expertise to the listener. Also, check out our social media channels for updates and videos of Gearz projects, as well as special contests, giveaways, and events. If you have a vehicle you want to enter into What Are You Working On, go to staceydavid.com and submit it. There's also the online store and tons of other Gearhead information that will encourage you to get out there, build something, and go drive it. And now, Parts Bin.
There is nothing more exciting in your interior than when you put in those custom gauges. And there's nothing more frustrating than when they're not accurate, especially the fuel gauge. But the problem isn't in the aftermarket gauges or the fuel tank. No, the problem is in this old float technology that dates back to Prohibition. Fortunately, Holly has got a solution for that. Take a look. This is the Easy Level Fuel Sender, and it uses laser imaging technology to determine your fuel level instead of the old float. So, no more cutting and adjusting to get the float level right. This unit allows you to punch a few buttons and easily program the capacity of any tank from 40 inches down to 4 inches and have it work with an electronic gauge so you know exactly how much fuel you have in the tank. You can also easily set full, half, and empty positions on the gauge. And it even has an adjustable dampening rate to prevent gauge bounce if you're on a road course and fuel slosh is a problem. The best part is, This fuel sender will fit right in place of any 5-bolt fuel sender, so there's no cutting or modifying your tank, and it will work with most aftermarket gauges. So if you're tired of guessing how much fuel is actually in the tank, this Holley Easy Level fuel sender can solve that problem.
What are you working on? Brought to you by Woodward Fabrication, selling quality metalworking equipment since 1966.
Today's What Are You Working On comes from Jake, and he is from North Carolina, and he has got a great project going here, so buckle up for this one. All right, see this car? This is a pro stock car that his dad raced back in the 70s, and it was called Priscilla, and it was a fast son of a gun. Jake said that his dad talked differently about that car than any car he ever owned. Now, Jake says that when he started watching our TV shows, he was just a kid, and his dad used to watch with him, so they built some memories watching our TV shows. Then he said when he turned 15, unfortunately his dad passed away, and Jake said he always dreamed of building a clone of one of his dad's cars. So here's what he picked up: a 75 Chevy Vega, and he's going to build a Pro Street clone of Priscilla. Man, that's going to be awesome. It's going to have the 70s paint, the striping, and of course the tunnel ram. Man, you got to have a tunnel ram on a 70s car. Now, he said so far he got the car, it was all original, but he stripped it, it's now in primer. And then he went through the fuel system, he went through the wiring, and then for the interior, he did similar to kind of what we did here. He cleaned up the door panels and painted them. He got Chevette front seats, painted those. He got plastic trim for the inside, painted those. He said the only drawback to this car is there's minimal aftermarket. So that meant a lot of this stuff had to come out of the junkyard. But he said he's had more fun doing that than most of the other cars he's built. And he wanted to say thank you for influencing kids like me to go ahead and work on something and revive memories of a kid and his father. Man, what an awesome project and what an awesome compliment. So to recognize what you're doing with Priscilla, we're going to give you one of these super bead rollers from Woodward Fab. This is the manual bead roller, plus all the dies you're going to need to make some great panels. Then we're also going to give you one of these deluxe project planning books. This will become the manual of everything that you are doing on that car. Very important. Then we're going to give you one of these Gearz fender covers, because you're going to need that once you get that fancy paint on there. And then we're going to give you a gift card from Holley, because I know you can use that because they have brand new tunnel rams for small block Chevys. Then we're going to give you a gift card from Hot Shot Secret, so you can get some additives and oil and use in any vehicle that you want. And then finally, we're going to give you a copperhead die cast, because I'm sure you grew up watching me build that truck. Now, for the rest of you guys, if you want to get in on this and get your project featured on the show, you got to send it to us. Go to our website, go to Gearz Nation, and submit it into What Are You Working On? The website's also the place to find out more information on any products you may have seen on the show, any Gearz merchandise, and how to join Gearz Nation. You can also see Gearz episodes for free on our YouTube channel and become a channel member. That way you get bonus content and you get early access to all the new episodes. Also, don't forget to check us out on Amazon Prime for Gearz and the Gearz Restoration Series. Finally, don't forget to like us on Facebook and Instagram. And if you're a radio person, make sure you check out our podcast, Tales of a Gearhead. All right, that wraps it up for us today. Hopefully you've seen that you don't have to do a lot to a project to breathe new life into it. You just have to start somewhere. So why don't you get out there, get yourself a project, and start working on it. We'll see you next time.